I know, I like it. Usually, that's new. I love it. I love that whole
know,
musical intro. I feel like a wrestler now. You know?
I know. Should have practiced
appreciate
an
you.
entrance pose. or
Where's the
something.
sparks and the flame?
I
You know,
know.
the pyro. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. How was your travels? I know, I was coming from Florida. I had a hurricane to get here through.
God.
It was, honestly, it wasn't that bad. Not too crazy. Went around the storm. I left just in time where the airport wasn't affected. And so luckily I got here and here we are. But what about you guys?
Oh, well, we came from Dallas and it was nothing. It was like an hour and a half and no weather, no nothing. So we were very lucky.
I think one of the best things that I've done for myself with doing conventions, because we were talking about on the way in, I think in the last 2 years I've done like over 80 some odd flights to do these things.
Wow.
My brain's real good at dumping the flight right afterwards. I have no idea. I think it was fine. Like, oh, if you can do that for yourself, for God's sakes, do it. Like, why would you want to hold on to the memories of a flight? They're terrible.
Well, I would imagine you've probably gained that skill or acquired that for the same way when you do an audition. How you
that
kind of
was
have to
good.
just dump it and leave it behind. You don't want to take it with you and think about how could I have said this differently. Or
Oh my
what-
gosh, is this a transition?
That was such a good transition.
Thank you.
Genuinely.
I was like, okay,
What
okay.
a good, like,
I
you know,
see what you're doing.
You know, I've
Smell
done
what you're
this
cooking.
before, not my first rodeo. Yeehaw! But no, I'm sure, and again, when it comes to auditioning, you definitely don't want to bring that with you. How do you guys navigate those moments when you're at an audition and you maybe wanted to say something different, or I wish I would have gave it this inflection, or I wish I would have done this differently? And you're a director as well, so how do you deal with those type of things?
Oh, yeah, you try not to think about it. It's this job in general is like you'll hear like you have to deal with so much rejection, and I don't think we all really let that sink in. The majority of the input and responses that you get as an actor is rejection. Like if you just laid it all out and you get rejected more than anything. So you can almost statistically assume yeah, it's probably never going to hear from him again. In general, that is statistically the truth. Even if you're one of the best actors in the business, statistically, even them, they're probably putting out more auditions that are rejections than so it's just kind of the more you do it, the more you realize you're generally going to be rejected, so just don't think about it. You do it, you send it, and you move on with your life. Because chances are you didn't get it. And then that way, if you do, then you're like, well, look at that. Isn't that just the neatest thing ever? Did you know I got booked? Yay! And then that way you can be positive about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only way to survive in a healthy way in this industry is just to not be married to any outcome. You go in, you do your best. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And if you don't get it, it's probably not because you messed up. It's just because you weren't the best choice for the role. It doesn't mean that you're terrible at what you do. You just weren't the best choice for that role. And at the end of the day, my approach with all of that is I'm here to serve the work, not serve myself. Right. And so if I was not chosen for a role, it means that I was not the best one to serve the work in that way. And a lot of times what happens too is maybe you didn't get the lead you read for, but someone liked it and then you get put someplace else in the show and it's a smaller part, but then you still get to be a part of the work and that's a win. But yeah, it's no, and that way it works both ways too, because then when you do get cast, I feel so good that I was chosen. The director heard something in my voice that thought that this was the best way to represent the work. And so now we can all serve the work and it's all good.
Yeah, for sure.
So, because that's the thing. It's not that you're bad. You're just not the best choice, and that's not bad. You know?
And the person that gets chosen might not even be the best choice. It might just be the one that had to fit in there. Because sometimes it's just look, we really like you and we want you for that role more than anybody, but we have to have this person in this role because they were born to be this one, and you sound old in comparison to them, so we need to find someone slightly younger or older or something like that. So sometimes it's just how things shuffle out.
Well, and what I hear when those kinds of things come up is, we really like you and we'll find a place for you somewhere.
Yep. And those roles that she was talking about, those side roles and everything, can be some of the ones that you're most known for, that are some of the best. I'm not the lead in Haikyuu. I'm deeply proud of my work in Haikyuu.
Yeah, it definitely does get easier as you continue to audition. You get kind of a thicker skin.
Well, and we've both been doing this. I mean, how long have you been doing this?
20-something
and
years.
I've been doing it
Yeah.
16. So you just reach a point where you're like, I can't waste time on feeling bad about this. I
It's
got to
true,
move
yeah.
on to the next thing.
If I'm gonna survive this mentally, and like really, that's like for the long term of this job, it's all about like maintaining your heart and your mind and your sanity, and making sure that you're not too hard on yourself, that you like accept the life for how it is and the ups and downs of how the industry works. There's no one that has ever existed that has been on top for their entire career. I challenge you to find somebody. There literally isn't. It just doesn't happen. So like you have to have that in your math as you do this kind of thing. So if you know that it's going to be difficult, and it is a job that, you know, how much people like you will affect how much you're like. There's a lot of anxiety stuff that you got to take account in before you start this. You have to taking care of yourself, and your emotional state is one of the most paramount things. And you'll find that like people like 5 years into this are like, I didn't do that, and I burnt myself out, and I just hate everything, and I don't even want. So you got to take care of yourself. But whatever your job
Just
is.
like that, by the way.
Just like it. Just
Accent and everything.
So in that regard, how important is it to maintain a relationship with other voice actors so you can kind of lean on each other for support in times of need, or emotional support when you're having a hard day?
See that, I'm going to say that's a yes and. It's very good to have friends in the industry that understand what you're going through, and you don't have to say a whole lot to explain why you feel the way you feel, because they've all been through it as well. However, we were just talking about this the other day. It is very important to have friends who are not in this industry. I feel like it's, yeah.
Oh my God, it's
I
my
mean,
favorite
Some
thing.
of my dearest friends are in this industry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
some of my dearest friends are not in this industry. So it's yeah, you need to have that tether to the outside world, if that makes sense, because it is very easy to get caught up in some stuff. And if you are talking to people who are caught up in the same stuff, then you have no perspective.
Right.
So it's a lot better to there are certain things that I need to talk to people in the industry about, because they know what's going on. They can advise me, direct me, whatever. But then there are other times where it's like, no, I'm not looking for guidance. I just want to vent about this. And if I vent about it to coworkers, then they'll feel bad. And for whatever reason, maybe they didn't get to audition for that show. And so now I'm ranting and venting about something that they didn't even get to be a part of, and now I look like a jerk. And so it's better to just vent to someone who doesn't have any stake in like what's going on.
No, that's a great point of view, and I didn't even think about it that way. But yeah, I guess outside of voice acting, then what are the type of things that you like to do to unwind, not think about the industry? Some of the things that you like to do when hanging out with friends, and maybe personal hobbies, or some of the things that you would have maybe pursued if you didn't get into voice acting.
You should talk about that new hobby you have that you've been telling everybody about.
What's
the last
your new
2
hobby,
days.
Ian? I want to know.
I play a lot of airsoft right now.
Airsoft?
It's so much fun.
Do you go and play like live in the arenas?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've worked in tiny little padded rooms for 20 years, pretending to be soldiers and all this other stuff. And then I found a fun game. And that's, yes, I've been talking about it, but that's just because I took like a month off of cons. And everybody's like, what have you been doing? I'm like, oh, I went down. I'm real ADHD, like real bad. Hyperfixations are great. And they're a wonderful thing. And if you are ADHD, know that you have a superpower that is hyperfixation. Here's one of my suggestions. If you can pick your next hyperfixation, you won't be somewhere where your friends are like, tell everybody what you've been obsessed about.
Listen, you've just been really proud to
oh
tell
my God,
everybody. I figured you'd
I've
want
had
to share.
so much fun. And in large part, it's been what she was saying earlier is none of them, I'm so glad no one's filming this, none of them know what I do. None of them know who I am. And it's the best thing ever to have like a big group of people that just know you for you and appreciate you for who you are and don't care. And some of them talk shit about One Piece. Because I'll wear a One Piece badge, and they're like, you like One Piece? I'm like, One Piece is the best, man. And then they'll talk crap about it and be like, well, the dub sucks. I'm like, yeah, but that manga's great, though. And then we just talk about the manga, which is really good. I don't care what they like. I don't care what you like. We don't have a centralized place to get media anymore. So anybody who's like, you haven't seen Severance or whatever, it's like, yeah, I don't have Apple Plus. Like, who can? Don't be weird about what. Like, you don't watch this. Don't do that to people. That's weird. Don't do that. Like, just like like enjoy, right? So yeah, no, I've been doing airsoft. I've been running around shooting BBs at other grown men. It's great.
So
Honestly, the women who are out there are more terrifying than the men. They're faster.
I believe that.
They are.
I believe
There's
that.
one chick who is terrifying. She does the leg slides and then just like John Wicks you.
Wow.
It's great. Yeah, that's what I've
So
been
when
doing.
you say you've gone off the deep end, so to
Bad,
speak,
man.
are you in like ghillie suit,
Yeah,
grenades?
my ghillie
and
suit
all-
came in last week,
Really?
and my next ghillie suit's coming in next week. It's a ghillie poncho, which is dope because you can put like a whoopee under it and it'll be warm. I'm about to do a bunch of milsims for a month. It's gonna be great. This is what I do with my free time because I've been doing voice acting for as long as I have. You have to have other hobbies. My God, you have to have other hobbies.
Yeah, like a lot of people will ask, like, do you like watch a lot of anime in your free time? And it's like, I need to watch stuff with real people.
Yep.
Because
You
I'm
gotta watch something
around.
else.
I'm around it. I love anime, and sometimes I will go and watch some of the
Mm-hmm.
shows we've done. I'm not saying that like, oh God, I hate what I do. No, not at all. There's so many things that I love, and I will go back and watch. But then other times I'm like, especially if I'm directing, I'm like, I gotta watch something with real people. I do.
Yeah, I watch One Piece when anytime I do get the inkling that I can watch some anime and just kind of sit back and relax, I watch One Piece. But then then you go to a con and then you watch One Piece and then you go to a con and watch One Piece and then you're like, my life has been nothing but Straw Hat for a couple weeks. I'm gonna run around in the
I need
forest.
perspective.
Okay.
So Alexis, what are some of your guilty pleasure
what
shows
about
right
you?
now? Yeah, like right now, my son's
Yeah.
obsessed with this show called Is It Cake? Have you seen this show?
No, but I know of it.
It's so fun to watch
That
and like
sounds
try
delightful.
to guess which one is cake.
So funny story about that show. I don't know what her name is. It's terrible. But there's a lady that was competing on that show who owns a place called the British Baker or the London Baker. And it's
Okay.
where I live. Like I got my boyfriend's birthday cake from there a few years ago.
nice.
And she makes all these crazy cakes. And she's like been competing on that show.
Dallas?
It's in Frisco.
No
Or
kidding,
Technically,
okay.
technically the colony, almost
Awesome.
Frisco. Yeah, but it's called the London Baker, and it's super cute in there, and like their stuff is really good. He my boyfriend likes old fashions, like the cocktail old fashions.
I had
And
one
so-
last night. They're the
Hey.
best.
So that's like his like wind down cocktail of choice, and I had them make him a cake that looks like an old fashioned.
That's
It was,
awesome.
and he's British, so they do like Victoria's sponge and like things like that. So it was really funny. He loved it. It was great. But God, what do I do? What do I do? I love going out and just hanging out with friends and just doing stuff where I can just relax and be with friends and talk about anything. I'm a big movie holic. I love winding down and watching movies. I do this thing called scrapbook journaling. I don't know if anybody. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so fun. And I love watching videos of people do scrapbook journaling who are so much better at it than I am. But that's really nice. Trying to think. I write quite a bit. I'm also in. This has been so fun. I'm in. It's not D&D, but it's like D&D adjacent. It's called Vaesen, and it's the same thing. You use like dice rolls, and it's like role playing. And I'm in a Vaesen group. Aaron Dismuke is our DM, and he's amazing. And it's the first time he's ever done it. You'd never know. Micah Solisad and Afia, you are in that group with us, and then it's me and my boyfriend, and then Sarah Wiedenheft. And so it's just a bunch of actors, and we've been doing it for like 6 or 8 months now, and we have been having so much fun. And just, again, it's all actors, right? So the improv and the everything, and like there have been scenes where my character wasn't even involved in it. It was a mission that Aaron asked me to actually play the antagonist in it, like because my character wasn't involved. And so there were a bunch of scenes I wasn't in, and I literally stress ate a box of Triscuits because I was just like, it was like Micah and some other people, and they were just in these really intense scenes, and they were so good. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so good. And like I've cried watching other people do these scenes, and it feeds my soul. It's so good. And some of the stuff like gets really intense, and we'll have so nice. Like, we call them aftercare sessions where it's like, hey, if some people went a little too far with the acting, because we do it over Zoom, but it's like if someone is like having some feels, let's like decompress together and like talk about it. And so then it's this really beautiful, safe mental health space. And it's just been, we try to do it once a week, and I always look forward to it. But So yeah, that's been happening, and then just like it's kind of hard to have hobbies because work just takes over. But yeah, and I also just kind of love vegging out sometimes and doing nothing. Doing nothing is sometimes my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to just turn everything off and stare at a wall. You just have to just like
Yeah,
chill out.
or watch way too many TikToks.
Oh my
that
God, doom
sometimes.
scrolling? Just
No, not even doom
nonstop?
scrolling. Just watching mindless skits, but they're so funny, and there's so many talented people out there.
It's true.
But yeah, cool.
It's cool to see also, TikTok now is also a great platform for a lot of people to get discovered or just to showcase their talent and get discovered in a way.
TikTok has changed so many people's lives. I mean, social media in general.
What do you think about how social media and technology has changed since you both got started and how it's affected, the industry?
Well, the industry itself has changed so much.
Yeah.
Like in the time I've been in it.
Oh yeah, no. We did a show called Space Dandy,
Space
and
Dandy.
that changed the industry into the simuldub era that we've been
Yeah.
in, and so for that was a huge change. For instance, when we started, we would get a role, and then it would come out in Japanese, and then like 6 months later, our version would come out, so we couldn't even talk about it. Now we're at a point where we're able to talk about it as it's happening. We're able to come out to the fans and talk to some people about. There was a reference that someone made. They said one of my characters sounded like somebody, and I thought that was hilarious. Today, about an hour ago, they said, this guy sounds like this other guy. And I said, that's awesome. I'm going to make a reference for that the next time I'm in as that character. I'm going to do... He said that my guy sounded like John Wick, and I'm like, oh, I'm adding the John Wick into that show now. Like, the next opportunity I have, next time it'll be yes, I'm going to be like, can I go with yeah? And they'll go, yeah, sure, why not? And I'm going to do that, yeah. Because I heard and I got immediate feedback, and we can't ever do that. That never existed before. The ability for someone to come up to me like, I love it when you're that character and you do that one thing. You'd be like, I didn't know people liked that, but I am absolutely.
I'm stealing that.
I saw there was a while where there were these TikTok compilations going around of me saying, okay, in that way, because I find it funny to do that. And then once I heard the internet say, it's the Ian Sinclair, okay, then I started putting it into stuff. To further that be a thing. You can do that, which is totally different. How people are about self-promotion is totally different. When we started, if you did a boothy, a picture of you in the booth, everybody would make fun of you and roll their eyes and be like, oh, do people flipping burgers take pictures of themselves on the grill? That's what you do for a living, man. Why do you got to do it? And now it became such an expected and such a common thing that now there are signs up that says, don't take pictures or video at Crunchyroll. That's everywhere. I want to find out who did it.
Yeah, someone did it.
Do you know who did it?
No.
No, neither do I.
I know, but the second I walked in and I saw those, I was like, oh, someone messed up.
Same thing's like, oh, what did someone do?
Well, and then did you see Megan Shipman's post about that? She goes, if you're the person that made it so they have to put signs up, just know you're never coming back.
Oh, no. And everybody kept doing it. And then they would take pictures with the character in the background so you could know what episode and who they just don't do. So that's been very different. And I would say, and I don't know, I might be overstepping, I think anime's mainstream now.
Oh, it totally is.
Yeah.
You can get anime shirts at Target and Walmart.
Okay,
it's
mainstream.
It is mainstream.
It was not when we started.
No.
And nobody cared. And so this is nice and neat. Thank you all for coming and paying attention.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. We worked hard.
We worked hard.
We did.
All right. Well, this is voice acting for video games.
Let's talk about video games.
So
What were we doing talking about anime? Gross.
we definitely
We're
want to
talking
get
about
some
video games.
questions from the audience, but really quickly, before we do that, why don't we just go off and list off a few characters or games that they may know you from?
You want to do one and then I do one?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Lightning round? Yeah, sure.
A Berkut from Fire Emblem.
I'll just follow your lead. I am Lucina, Claire, and Paula in Fire Emblem.
Rashid in Street Fighter.
I'm not in Street Fighter. Another game we're both in, though. I'm Alicia in Tales of Zestiria.
I'm Zavid in Tales of Stuff.
And then, obviously, we're both in all the Dragon Ball games.
The Dragon Ball games.
And then I am Pascal in Nier Automata.
Ooh, congrats. That's
Oh,
awesome.
it's so sad. So sad.
I am in every Borderlands.
Oh, yeah, I'm in Borderlands also.
Multiple people.
Just NPCs, yeah.
Yeah. Tron was the last one I did on that. And I was really like that. Let's see here. What other video games? I don't know. A bunch of different. Tales of Cold Steel. Trails of Cold Steel.
I'm in that too. Wait, who are you in that?
I'm Toval.
Oh, I'm a Muse. Little Machiavellian princess. In Nikkei, I am Jan, Uni, and then Pascal, because they had a Nier Automata crossover, which was, listen, making a giant metal robot fan servicey is a feat.
Right? I have to look that up.
You know.
And other stuff.
Tower of Fantasy?
Oh, I'm in that.
Who are you in Tower of Fantasy?
No idea.
Oh.
I just know that I've done Tower of Fantasy stuff. I'm in Honkai Star Rail as a bunch of different random people.
Yep.
As soon as I turned 40, like they were like, here's a 60-year-old man. I got like 5 60-year-olds the second I turned 40. No idea why.
Look at you.
And they
I'm
was
so
just
proud
all
of
at
you.
once. They're all like, you're old now. So can you be old? And I may be old. Yeah.
If that's what a 60-year-old
I know, right? And I was
wait, no,
like,
I'm
do
sorry.
you want him to be like old? Because
I'm sorry,
a lot of
it
60-year-old.
is anime mentality. You know, it
Yeah,
is the same style, so
kinda.
it's like it's the JRPG thing where it's like 25 and you're ancient.
Dude, like
Yeah.
Sonny's 60. Like Sonny tells me, like when he plays 60-year-olds, they make him age up. He's like, I am though, but yeah. Yeah.
60's older than water. What are you
Dude,
talking about now?
people be like, look, I'm 40.
Oh God, my great grandchildren that I had. Let's see, Tower of Fantasy. I am. Oh gosh, Fei and Huang. She's also known as Mimi. And then I'm not in this game, but I'm directing. I'm one of the co-directors on Zenless Zone Zero, which just came out a couple months ago. It's the new MiHoYo game. It's really cool if you haven't checked it out yet. There's so much cool stuff coming. I'm so excited. But yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I'm actually going to hop into the crowd.
Do
and,
it.
I hope you really hop.
Don't
hurt yourself.
I teach
though.
parkour.
Oh,
Okay.
6 days
shut
a week.
up.
I want to see.
I want to talk about that later.
My back.
Oh,
No, we'll talk about it later.
Are you 40?
You are in your 20s, aren't you?
42.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You shut up.
All right, who has a question?
Shut up. I half believed you.
I'm being honest.
No, you're not.
1982, August 5th. All right, let's talk about
Why do I look
questions.
so
got
much
it. No, we're good.
older? This is not fair.
I'm aging poorly. It's probably
No,
the
you're not.
height
What did I
helps.
just tell you in the green room about how nice your skin looks?
I just want to
Stop.
hear that over and over.
All right, who has a question?
Fishing,
Raise your
fishing.
hand. I'll come to
Fishing me a
you
60-year-old.
about voice
That's
acting and video games. Here you go. What's your name and what's your question?
Skylar McQuiston,
Hey.
how did you get a start to your career?
In general, start with a career.
I went to TCO as a theater major because I wanted to be like I want to be an actor, and that was back then, you know, where all the good actors or whatever. I had a friend who was on like he liked to bring people to watch him work, so he'd be like, "Hey man, I work for the Dragon Ball people. You want to work? You want to see me work?" And I was like, "Okay." And
Back when you could do that.
right? Oh no, yeah, we got a guy named Tom now. That dude's terrifying. He's I think former Marine. That dude's scary. Yeah, you don't want to mess with Tom. Don't try to break into Crunchyroll. That won't work out well. Anyway, there
He's
was this
there
director.
because someone tried it.
This little short, little bald dude, and that's how I remembered him for the longest time. I thought it was Tyler. It was Sabat. Sabat got free work off of a kid on a tour. That's how this started.
Oh, so Sabat was bald even way back then?
Oh yeah, no, but he had a little soul patch. You can look up pictures of Chris Sabat back in the day with a little soul patch, and then that like thing where they like trace
Oh,
the
yeah, that OG
Chin strap,
headshot
yeah.
he
Oh yeah,
has.
no, it was in the
Yeah.
early 2000s. Come on, like you know. And then he was like, "You want to say a line?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I did the like small character, and then 6 episodes later, they were like, "Hey, that bit part that had one line, he's got one more line. What's that guy's name?" And they gave me a contract, which is why I know you. It's the only reason I'm here today.
So
What'd you?
nice.
How'd it go?
So for me, yeah, I was a theater actor for many years. Still am, but at the time, was a theater actor for many years. And I happened to live very close to Funimation, and I basically was like, I knew what anime was. I was a fan of it, and I was like, I really love acting, and anime is really cool. I want to marry those two and try it out. And so I figured out where I needed, because back then you had to like snail mail your stuff. Yeah. So I sent in an acting resume. I made a very terrible demo because my God, I was a teenager, and also demos weren't really a thing back then, and I used, you know, like a PC computer and that stupid little mic that just comes with it, and I wrote myself a bunch of copy and read stuff from books I liked and just did a bunch. It was so bad. If that's still somewhere in the
And
database,
look where
burn
it got you.
I know, but yeah, and that's the thing, is that I had a little headshot and nobody knew me. I didn't like have a connection, and I guess somebody heard something they liked and they called me in for an audition, and it just happened to stick. So I went about it very traditionally. But yeah.
I like how reductionist we are about it. Like, no, it's just, you know, I just.
Well,
I
because
know.
some
But you
people
did
have
so.
this bombastic story about how, you know, like, oh, I was performing on stage and there was someone in the audience and they discovered me. And
I don't
it's
like those stories as much. I like it when it's like I wanted to do it, and so I made it happen.
Yeah, and so
Like,
and that's the thing, is I was very lucky because I was so young. I was still living at home. I was still in school. I still had time ahead of me to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And so it was one of those things where it was like I figured if I got called in, it'd be a little thing. I'd have a cool story, and that would be it. I had a totally different plan for work because I didn't think I'd ever be able to do. I knew I wanted to be an actor in some capacity because I just loved it so much, but I didn't think I would ever be able to do it professionally. And then fate had other ideas.
she lived the advice that I give, which is when people are like, well, I have a job and everything. Like, yeah, no, do voice acting as a hobby until you just can't help. Like at one point, she was like, they called me in a lot. I just need to do this.
Well, and I had really cool parents who didn't make me get a job when I was
Well,
in like
that's
high school
handy.
and college, because they were like, in high school, I was in this really competitive theater program, and they were like, that's your job and enjoy it while you can. And then when I was in college, it was like, that's your job, like focus on school. And so then when I started booking these gigs, it was so nice. I would just text Tara, who's still our talent coordinator, which is really great. And I would just be like, hey, new semester, I got my college schedule. Here's when I'm at school and can't come in. And then she would just book me around that. And it was, so they were like really great about working with my schedule. And I had an internship at the time that they were working around as well. And so it was really nice.
Hey,
Yeah.
Awesome. And now we have another question. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
My name is Jacob. Hello. So my question is, you know, you have to put yourself out there, make yourself known. Where in this modern era do you put yourself out there to?
That's an interesting question.
us or new person?
New.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Honestly, gosh, I don't envy people coming into the industry now. It's so different, you know, and it's so much more complicated. I know a lot of people, I mean, obviously social media is a really great tool. But honestly, I mean, even though technology has changed so much, the industry has changed so much, the industry has grown so much, I still think good old-fashioned networking is like the way to go. I mean, like going to class, and not in, a lot of people hear me say networking and they think like skeezy corporate networking. That is not what I mean. It is totally different. It's not, I'm going to go get to know this person because they can give me something, and I'm going to be fake and make them like me so that maybe they'll give me a job. No. Because the thing about actors is we can smell liars a mile away because we're technically professional liars. I mean, that's what acting is. So it's like, and acting is also the study of people. Like you have to, you know, working on your craft, you learn how to inhabit lots of different emotional states, lots of different types of characters. And those types of characters exist in the real world. So the BS meter is very fine-tuned. And what I'm talking about when I say networking is putting yourself in positions to make genuine connections, whether that's taking classes and like getting to know your classmates, or going to conferences and asking questions and finding ways to demonstrate who you are as a person in a setting that is authentic. Because that's the thing, so much of networking, I'm sure for both of us, has just been, hey, this person's really cool, they're really talented, I like their sound, I like their, you know, everything I've seen and heard. I'm going to bring them in, test them out in the booth, see how they are to work with. Oh, this person's a delight. I'm going to keep calling them back. It's just about being authentically you and being a nice person to be around. Like that helps a lot too. And also, you know, there are a lot of people that they demonstrate other skills they have and they get noticed that way. Like some people do stuff on social media. Some people are streamers. That, I mean, that really demonstrates your personality, like because you're out there talking to an audience the entire time you're online. But also, I'm trying to think of like other things.
What kind of actor you want to be?
Yeah.
Like within voice acting, what do you want to do?
like character, radio,
Anime, video game.
video
what's that?
games.
I mean, anime would be obviously the ideal. Video games, perfectly fine as well.
Okay.
Kind of like what you guys do.
If anime is your ideal, you can't live here. I'm sorry. I really wish you still could.
that part
There was
sucks.
a brief amount of time where I literally was going on panels being like, here's a great thing. You guys can do this from home. No. Then all the studios got real stupid. LA was like, no, we have expensive microphones and you all need to be here. And besides, only if you live in LA are you a good actor. So like, we need LA people. Which is dumb, but true. So like they do that stuff, and then Dallas or Crunchyroll said, "Oh crap, we just built a multi-million-dollar facility. You all have to come in.
I mean,
You don't get
it's
any new
tale as
roles."
old as corporate time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of other non-acting
general-
places did that too.
Whenever you look at like these kind of things, and you'll be like, "Why did the place?" Just think about it from a money point of view, and you'll be like, yeah, that makes
Follow
sense."
the money.
Because there are always at any of the big places, the people at the top, they don't care about the art. And I'm not trying to be like, they don't care. No, in general, they got their job because they're good at running businesses. And like, they don't specifically know your art form. It'd be nice. And it's nice when you do get a CEO or whatever that actually like knows the art form. But in general, anyway, that all aside, if you want to work in anime and you want to go and you want to work for Crunchyroll, you got to live in DFW because they do not give new roles unless you are already an established actor that has a reputation. They'll be like, oh my God, you're Sungwon, or you're Matt Mercer. Then like they'll patch you in. But they have very limited slots per show that they're even willing to do that to. Black Butler, I thought that we should go to London and have send out the casting notice to them. But we had 2 actors or whatever that were LA actors, and they're like, that's about as many as we can have. So that's why we did a lot of Dallas people. If you want to be in Crunchyroll, Dallas. If you want to be in like the other stuff, the Bang Zooms, the Demon Slayers and stuff like that, LA. Unfortunately. That's for the anime. For video games, I think you could probably get an agent in either of those cities or in Chicago and all those other. Do they make? I think video games are pretty much just made in LA and some in Dallas and.
Yeah. Well, Gearbox is based in Dallas.
Yep. So.
And we localize stuff in Dallas as well. But yeah, I would say anime is more. Dallas is more the hotspot for anime.
Yeah.
LA is more the hotspot for video games. But both of those cities do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
Thank you much.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right, we got another question right over here.
My name is Logan.
Hey.
I'm assuming since obviously you've been doing voice acting for years and years and years, your voice has kind of like been strained a lot at certain roles.
Yeah.
What do you do to like kind of keep it like healthy and rich and like just like not make it go?
Rich and velvety.
God, I'm not sure if my voice is healthy. I'm terrified
Yeah,
to go.
same thing. I
I'm
don't-
terrified to go and get like scoped.
Me too.
Oh, I can't do it.
don't
I will
wanna-
cry
They're gonna
if I think
find
about it too long.
things.
I just don't want something going up my nose and
Oh,
down my throat.
I'd make them gas me. I'd pass out and be like, "Tell me how I am."
No, I'm like, I know. Just can I throw money at it?
Right. Put me to sleep.
I don't like invasive things. So we should be going and getting our vocal cords checked out, but we don't.
There is if you're ever in a session and you're like, man, I need to keep pushing because I don't want to seem like I'm a
No.
don't.
No.
Like I tell all early
No.
actors that like I'm like, oh hey, you got a screamy lead. Don't let them push you. The second you start feeling like, oh, that's a little raw, stop. Just stop. I have pushed myself. There is a moment in D. Grayman Hollow where you can hear a vocal cord pop on mine. It's terrible. And did that, and Chubbs looked at me and he goes, "You have 1 minute left. We're gonna get as many cues as we can." And then we kept going, and then my voice died, and it was died for like a
Well,
week.
and just
something.
look up what happened to Aaron Dismuke.
Aaron Dismuke.
That's a cautionary tale, and he's done like interviews about it. He was literally out of commission for 6 months.
Yeah, which means can't make money.
And anytime we were in the middle of Kaguya-sama during all that, and that's why Clifford Chapin replaced him in season 3 people. I talked to people at cons and they'd be so mad, and I'm like, listen, it's for a good reason. He will come. He will come back and re-record when he's healthy. But for now, you don't want him recording. He will literally end his career if he pushes it because he won't have a voice. So yeah, oh my God, that was a whole thing. A director pushed him way too hard for way too long, and he did serious vocal damage that he needed physical therapy for months. So, and that is something, is know your limits, because nobody's going to know how you're feeling but you, and being able to speak up. And well, that's why I love working with Joel McDonald, like on Borderlands. Borderlands, if any of y'all have played Borderlands, I have not run into a single thing that is more gnarly on your voice than Borderlands, because they will literally say,
Smite.
oh, I haven't done Smite. So.
Oh God, that was a beating.
I
We'll
know,
talk.
Okay. I know that they warn about that when you audition.
Yeah, no, they're like, we're gonna mess you up for a couple days, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
But okay, so yeah, it's all yelling. But like for the Borderlands games, they will literally say, okay, so we're gonna do all these reactions now. We need you to give us 3 minutes. 3 minutes, 60 seconds times 3. 3 minutes, you hear me? 3 minutes. That's a lot. I know it doesn't sound like a lot. Of screaming like someone has thrown acid on you. I'm not even kidding. Okay, that's great. Now we're gonna do 3 minutes of you getting electrocuted. Okay, now we're gonna do 3 minutes of you being frozen. Now we're gonna do 3 minutes of you being set on fire. And what's really funny about that is, I know, like, you maybe can't tell by looking at me, but I've never been set on fire, and I've never been electrocuted, and I've also never had acid thrown at me, thank God. But so much of this job is, what would I sound like if someone threw acid on me? That's what I mean about, like, inhabiting characters, is like, oh, I'm getting acid thrown on me. What would that sound like? It's awful. And so, but Joel, because he understands what we're doing, and he is an actor's director, is he will say, hey. He will say, the second it hurts, we're stopping. I don't care if we have two more hours in this session. You say, I'm done. I will say, okay, no questions asked, and we will rebook you. So, but not all directors are like that. So sometimes you have to put your foot down. But yeah, that do be happening sometimes.
So before the session, do a ton of warm-ups.
Yes.
Try to read out loud as much as you can. Try to get your look. I don't know. Google online. There's so many. Whatever really works for you.
Oh, and start
to warm yourself
hydrating
up.
the day before.
Oh
because
my God, yes.
hydration has to happen 24 hours in advance.
Holy crap, yes.
Chugging a bunch of water before the session is not hydrating your vocal cords. You
No.
got to start the night before. I learned
You are
that
so
way too
right.
late. Also, if you know you're going to have a screamy session, don't book anything else. Like if I'm working on Dragon Ball, that is it. That is it for the day. Because even if Trunks isn't screaming, it's still like, it's like I might as well join a metal band. It's like, he's the only character where I have like a 2-hour limit, and about the hour 45-minute mark, I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom, I gotta make more tea, I gotta take a phone call. I'm looking for any excuse to like stop. So not booking anything else, understanding what your workload is and not trying to be a hero and book like everything in one day. Conventions, we talk a lot at cons. Yeah. I finally learned the lesson, don't book work the Monday after a convention. That only took me
Monday's the day off.
15 years. And just going on like true vocal rest, because that is the best thing you can do. Do not talk to anyone.
Don't whisper. Don't do any of that.
Don't
Learn
whisper.
a little bit of American Sign Language.
Don't baby talk your cat or whatever you have at home. Don't talk. Don't talk at all.
Me and my ex learned sign language to be able to communicate on those Mondays. Like honestly, because literally not a noise from your throat. No, like some water. No, just shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, and then, inevitably, this is where it kind of sucks when you have friends outside of the industry because they don't get it, and then they're like, oh, you can't use your voice. Oh, I'm like, no, seriously. So, yeah, but just being aware of your instrument and understanding that, like, this is your part of your job is to protect it. So, yeah. Oh, hot tea helps, too. Throat coat. Lemon, honey, all the good stuff.
All right, thank you for all your questions. And we have a few moments left here. We're going to take a stage selfie as well. We got a photographer here. But before we leave, I know you mentioned that you wanted to speak about a project that you're directing right now.
I already mentioned it.
You mentioned it already. Can you mention it one more time?
Zenless Zone Zero, or ZZZ. It's super fun. It's an open world gotcha game. It's available now on mobile, PC, and I think PS5. I think it's available on everything. Highly recommend not playing it on a mobile phone because it's a little disorienting. You need a bigger screen. It's a lot better if you have a bigger screen, but it's very, 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 very fun. I'm so proud of all the work we've done on it so far. Please, 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 please check it out if that's your thing.
Well, Alexis, Ian, thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate
you.
all your insight into the world of voice acting. If you didn't get a chance to ask your question, please visit them. They'll be here at their tables for the rest of the weekend. One more big round of applause for Alexis Tipton and Ian Sinclair.